Hey everyone, and welcome to my session, Decoding the SEO Success Secrets of Software Startups. And today I'm looking at the startup Culture AMP, which is an employee engagement, employee experience software. And I'm going to show you how, as a software company, you can structure your website in the most beneficial way for SEO. And I'm also going to show you the 4-step process for picking content marketing topics that make sense for SEO. With that, let's dive in. In the next 25 minutes, I want to make sure that you learn how to set up a website for SEO because that is really the foundation. But I want to be very clear. If you're starting out and you're in the first few months, maybe rolling out a full plan SEO strategy is not the way to go yet. Maybe you do want to focus on outreach, account-based marketing, going viral to make sure that you get that initial boost. However, if you set up your website structure right from the get-go, you're going to be so thankful in 1.5 or 2 years from now when SEO really becomes your priority. If you're already a scale up and you're producing a lot of content, but you're not seeing a lot of organic traffic outside of brand, this presentation is for you because we're going to uncover how Culture Amp managed to get tons of non-branded traffic from content marketing. And basically, I want to give you the success recipe for infueling your content marketing with SEO so that you not only get direct traffic and shares from it, but also a consistent stream of SEO traffic. Say hello, as per usual. I like to hear from you. My name is Viola, and you've seen me around a lot on this conference, but I've never really introduced myself. I'm an SEO, a search engine optimization specialist, which I'm deeply passionate about, but I'm also very deeply passionate about doing this in a meaningful and mindful way, which meaning that it serves your business, the algorithms, and your customers. I have spoken at many marketing related events such as Search Marketing Summit, UnGagged, Wordcamp. I also write for the Search Engine Journal. And I run an SEO agency called Flow SEO, which is a bespoke SEO agency scaling organic traffic for software businesses. Now, today we're looking at Culture Amp as an example. As I said, Culture Amp is an HR tool. It's been founded in 2009, and Google knows it very well, as you can see from the screenshot in the knowledge panel. It has a pretty good domain rating, 76 out of 100, but that's probably not the strongest you've ever seen. However, they're doing really well in the sense that they have 64,000 keywords ranking, and they have 4,700 plus 1,800, so maybe 6.5 thousand keywords on page 1, which that is what we're really after. Personal funny joke is like, I love their logo. Why do I love their logo? Because the first logo of Flow SEO looked like this, and so I'm always a fan of someone who uses the circle. Let's decode their SEO success secrets. The background is that there's so many SEO guides that you can be reading, and it can still seem so esoteric and out there if you don't have a practical example. So instead of giving you just a guide, I want to show you how Culture Amp has done it specifically. I'm not part of their marketing team. They're just an example that I love looking at to show that SEO doesn't have to be esoteric. It can be very, very tangible. First, quick screenshot of the best performing pages for Culture Amp. And you can see here the search volume of the keywords, the position that they're ranking in, and you can see, okay, there's some random stuff, which I'm going to talk about later, but they really win top positions for diversity in the workplace, performance goals, managing app, employee feedback examples, performance review examples, what makes a good manager, which are all queries that are really, really relevant to create touch points with potential customers. And in this talk, you're going to learn how to do the same. Like I said, website structure and SEO-focused content marketing. Let's start with structuring your website for success, because whether SEO is your main priority right now or whether you're looking to make it a priority in the future, this is where you can set the foundation right. A well-structured website is a rising tide that lifts all of your keywords. And as a software company, you have special needs. You might have all your sales and product pages, feature pages, use case pages, and you might wonder, where do they sit? But you also have your tutorials in your knowledge center. You might have all your blog content. And then a lot of companies for demand generation actually have a lot of white papers, ebooks, downloadables. And so where do they live? I'm going to show you how you can do this well. In short, Google loves structure, and Google loves structure because Google is an algorithm. And the more mathematical and analytical you can present your website, the more it's going to understand what you're about. And so the picture that I like to use here is if you're a website about food, you want to make it very, very clear where all the fruit content on your website is. If Google is looking for your most relevant page about apples, there should be no doubt which page to pick. They go right into the fruit section of the website, they pick apples, and they return it as a search result. So keep that picture in mind. You don't want to mix your chicken and your apples and the fruit, right? You want to have it neat and organized. And this is how it looks like for a real website that is not about fruit and apples. When you go to cultureamp.com, in the main navigation, you're going to see some stuff like on the top here. You're going to see platform, where they list all their sales and feature pages. You're going to see science, where they talk about the background, why Culture Amp works the way it works. You do see resources, then community, and speak to team. That's their call to action. And once you start clicking around those buttons, you will see that they really have 5 main buckets into which the content falls. Bucket 1 is the platform. This is all their sales pages, feature pages, and solution pages. Bucket 2 are their alternative pages, where they basically rank for competitor keywords and such terms as like da-da-da alternative or culture amp versus la la la. Then you'll see they have a huge section which is for the existing customers, which is their help center, their support center. They then have the blog and the resources. Let's dive deeper. Optimize your sales pages. You can see that if you go to cultureamp.com/platform, they bundled all their sales feature and use case pages under this URL structure, which means that all very transactional bottom of the funnel content lives here. And you can see instead of calling this part of the URL, they're not calling it cultureamp/product name, they're calling it cultureamp/platform/keyword. And so you can see this sales page is optimized for employee engagement software, employee engagement platform, custom insight employee engagement survey tool. And so this makes it so that they appear on page 2, bottom of page 1 for that. The reason why they might not be in the top positions for this is that for some of these queries, Google likes to see long form purchasing guides. And so probably on page 1 on top of them is something like the 5 best employee engagement software compared. There might be Capterra or G2. However, you don't want to ignore your sales pages, because if there's a handful of sales or landing pages in the top positions, it means that you could be there as well. And so they've done a really, really good job at making sure that all this transactional bottom of the funnel content lives in the same spot. And this is what I would recommend for you too. /platform is a good idea, /solutions, /features are some common slugs that people use, and then use your keyword at the end and make sure that the page is well optimized. If we're moving a little bit higher up the funnel, which is not someone maybe like ready to buy, or it's someone ready to buy, but still comparing different providers, having a look, commercial investigation, they have a beautiful, beautiful series of pages where they compare their app to the main competitors. You can see here Office Vibe, Qualtrics, Glint, Lattice. And again, they're very, very clean in the URL structure and their page template. All of those pages live at /alternatives2 in their own silo on their website, right? That's another section, right? That's vegetables. That's not fruit. It's still very, very transactional, but it's a slightly different intent. And they managed to consistently execute on these pages by using the same URL structure and using the same page template. And I recommend for you to do the same. Now, where do all your customers go? Usually people have a third-party tool that they use for a help desk or support forum. And this is why usually you find support forum on support.url or domain.com, which is the case here too. It's support.cultureamp. And in here, you're mainly looking to answer branded queries and questions. So people ask how to do something, how to launch a survey Culture Amp or bug survey Culture Amp, etc. And these are the search queries that you want to connect. You want to make sure that you collect. You want to make sure that you're ranking for those terms, and so that if people don't go straight into your help desk, but they go to Google, they can find information about your product specifically and solve any technical issues with using the software. So this is not the space for top of the funnel content or educating people on why surveys are good or employee surveys are helpful or examples for it. That's not totally the place. Here's really the place on this is what it is and this is how you do it with the tool, and this is your place for tutorial and step-by-step guides. However, your blog is where you want to create touch points with your audience. And you can see here, right? These are some topics and recommended readings on the Culture Amp blog. We can see communicating your next employee engagement survey. Then you can see an article that is more company update, Culture Amp's innovative approach recognized by Fast Company. And this also tells you something. Not every article on your blog needs to be an SEO piece. However, if you want to be ranking, a sufficient amount of content should be SEO pieces. But your blog is really a home of both. Your feature updates, your company updates, and your evergreen, everlasting SEO content that is ranking well for the queries. And you can see the mix beautifully here as well. One note on thought leadership versus SEO content. A common belief is that these are two totally different things that could not be combined. Where thought leadership is your opinion, maybe provocative, maybe unique, maybe going against what the market is saying. Well, here's the thing. If you have the same page with the same argument, the same article as everyone else, you're not going to stand out on page one. And even if someone goes on page one and reads your article, they're probably not going to remember you. And so the idea that your SEO content needs to be dry, technical, and boring is really a false assumption. Today, it's really about merging the two. Of course, you do want to hit all the keywords and the contextually related information, but you do want to have enough opinion and color so that when people click and read your article, they actually remember you and they remember that it was on Culture Amp and not any of the competitors that they read this piece. This is why all your thought leadership ideas, why not run them through a keyword tool as well? And then all your SEO ideas, why not think about how that could be an opportunity to make a point and maybe falsify an industry truism. And you could be as bold as using a headline saying like, why da 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 is not the thing. So you're still ranking for that keyword, but you're also making sure that people understand that they need to think differently about this. So you capture the traffic by the people searching for that, but you're making sure that you're educating them on your solution. So again, thought leadership and SEO content can marry, and this is what the blog is good for. First, you can post both type of content, but you can also post hybrid content on there. Last word on structure. We've just been saying blog, and of course, a blog is usually sorted by date, right? And there's something to be said. Of course, you want to have news on the top, especially if it comes to news and announcement in your company. But it doesn't really make that much sense in terms of usability. Your blog is really a resource library, and you should treat it like that. And Culture Amp has done this nice with 5 blog categories, and they sort all of their articles into the 5 blog categories. I recommend that you do the same. Think about what are the 3 to 5 to 6 blog categories and topics that describe the core of your business. And then use one blog category per post and be very, very strict with that. Again, we're coming back to the example of fruit and veggies, right? It's not both, it's one or the other. And so make sure that you choose your blog categories distinct enough that you can file them in there. And don't forget, you could have a blog category called company updates or news and file stuff in there. That's not a problem. But then make sure 3 to 5 to 6 categories, unique, clearly distinct, and choosing one article per category. And then also make sure that you have an easy to find option for people to filter the blog. So there should be some sort of like a filter menu, sub menu or so where people can click on the different categories to find the information that they're most curious about. Bonus benefit, it helps for internal linking and it makes Google very happy. Back to my slide from the beginning. What Culture Amp is doing really right is what we call keyword mapping. And again, this is structure. You can see the top keyword here, also in the URL. Keyword also in the URL. Keyword also in the URL. And you will see it's also in the headline 1, in the page title. And of course, there's some hiccups. No one ever gets it perfect. But generally speaking, this article that's ranking here is the only article that they have about the topic. And this is what you're going after. If you do want to write about a topic again, you want to update, expand, and perfect your existing article. If you're creating a second article about the same topic, you're not helping your SEO. You're making two articles fight for the same keyword, confusing Google, not knowing which one they should pick. And so if you love that topic, you want to write about it again, update the existing article, and otherwise make it really, really clear that each one of your topics only appears once on your website. And then the last section of the website that they have is resources for driving demand. And this is where you have all your white papers, ebooks. And because this is a little bit more thought leadership, education, your goal not always is to drive organic traffic straight to these specific landing pages, because often people don't Google for the titles and then modifies ebook or webinar often, not never, but often. So really here, make sure that you focus on conversion, make them good looking, make them easy to download, so that as many people as possible get your content, get to know your brand, get educated, and can come back to your website to become a lead or a contact for your team. Just jumping back into this, what we've learned is what Culture Amp is doing really well, that they have these 5 buttons here on the top. But that doesn't really tell you what the underlying structure is. But underlying their website is really, really clean, where they have all the very transactional bottom of the funnel keywords clustered once into the platform software keywords that are living here. We have the alternative keywords all living on the same page template. All the transaction keywords are here. The help for your customers and branded queries and the help desk are found under support.cultureamp.com. And then your middle and top and middle of funnel content lives in the resource section and the blog. Whilst the resource section is really focused on driving demand and educating people and making sure that as many people as possible download your resources, the blog has the purpose to generate touch points, drive organic traffic, and bring new people in. So what does that actually mean, driving non-branded traffic? And how do I know which topic I should be writing out about in order to achieve that? Here's an SEO step-by-step for driving non-branded traffic to your website. We're going to start by researching topic ideas, mapping our keywords, as I said, and then writing amazing content. And then we want to tweak and optimize it to make sure that Google loves it too. Number 1, research topic ideas. And Tim Solo from Ahrefs actually has a very nice model for this. And then CoSchedule has a very nice model for this as well. You want to figure out what is your content core, which means what are the topics, pain points, interests, and needs that your audience cares about? What are they searching for? What are they typing into Google? And then you want to make sure that the content actually provides value to your business. There should be some connection to your products or service that you're offering. Let me show you 2 examples. This is a great article, right? We have a framework for employee performance goals, including examples. There have a platform related to employee engagement and employee performance. We understand that people are very curious about goal setting and want to learn it better. So this is a really nice match where they can educate about performance management, but they can also link to their software tool. I already hinted at this. 90 plus funny jokes to share with your coworkers. Sure, this will give you clicks. The chance of a person reading this converting into a lead, I would say it's low. So this for me falls outside the content core. There might be other reasons to do this. You might want some upward pointing charts in your organic traffic because you have a new investing rounds, etc. There are reasons to write these articles, but it's probably not going to drive that value for your business that you're looking for when you're serious about SEO. So to research new topic ideas, there's 3 main strategies. First, if you have articles that are stuck on page 2 or 3 or 4 of Google, make sure you update them. So make sure that they're longer, better, more detailed, better optimized. And we're going to talk about how you can do that. If a page is ranking semi-well, Google is reaching their hand. It's saying, we're kind of interested in it, but not perfectly yet. So again, don't write a second article, optimize that existing one. Second, when you research topic ideas, make sure to pick the lower difficulty keywords first. So keyword difficulty is a metric used by the SEO tools such as Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz, and it helps you estimate how hard or not hard it's going to be to start ranking for that keyword. And basically, the tools look at the competitive landscape, how well is everyone else doing in the space, and then they tell you if you are compatible with that. And if you're starting with SEO, start with the lower difficulty keywords first, because otherwise you're going to be banging your head against the wall for a year and you're going to be unhappy. And then lastly, once you pick the topic, have a look on page 1 to see if an article is even the right answer to the search query. Google has changed dramatically, and with some how-to queries, lifestyle topics, you might see tons of videos ranking or images. Writing an article is not always the best answer to the search query. Sometimes it requires a landing page. So before locking in the topic, have a quick look on page 1, see if you see a lot of articles and guides on there, and then move ahead and be confident that your article can rank as well. Step 2, you want to map your keywords against a home. So you have all those ideas now. So please, like I said, double check that you already, if you already covered the topic, then update. And then otherwise, if you're creating a new article, make sure that you cluster keywords with the same intent. So in the past, for every little keyword variation, you had to create a new page. Apple pie recipe, recipe for apple pie. Google didn't really understand the relationship between, and you needed to create a separate page for each one of them. Now, this is an SEO of the past, and today, like I said, would lead to keyword cannibalization where all these pages are fighting over the same keyword. So keywords that are similar-ish and that meet the same needs, you want to cluster on those same page. And then you want to respect the rule that 1 page per keyword cluster, 1 keyword cluster per page. And how this looks like is that, for example, here on the blog post that we looked at about on employee performance goals examples, you can see that performance goal example, work goals examples for evaluation, performance goals for employee examples, they're all living on that same page. And that's because they're all asking a similar question. The searcher always has a similar intent. And so this page nicely is mapped against this. So when we talk about keyword, what we really mean is keyword cluster and making sure that a keyword cluster with the same search intent lives on the same page. And they've done this beautifully here. Step 3, write amazing content. And essentially, I've been talking a lot about the holistic model of SEO success, and it is basically a mix of the content core with a third circle, which is what Google favors. So make sure that you talk about what is near and dear to your business and that makes sense and drives value. Make sure to talk about what people are searching for, as we discussed, but then make sure you respect what Google favors. And this means looking on page 1. And you've already looked on page 1 and saw that an article is ranking for this. And here's another example, right? For this performance goals examples, you can see page 1 is full of long form guide, and Culture Amp also wrote a long form guide. So look if an article is ranking, but then also see what kind of article is ranking. Is it long? Is it short? Is it a landing page? Is it a long form guide? And just make sure you're creating something that's roughly in the ballpark figure, because that's what Google like to see. If everyone else is writing, like here, a 2,000 word guide and you're writing a 400 word landing page, you're probably going to have a really, really hard time ranking. However, coming back to the example of sales pages, if you do see a few landing pages ranking in the search results, you can give it a good try and try to push your sales or landing page as well. Step 4, once you've created a beautiful article, make sure to tweak and optimize for SEO. I could recommend this last because I want you to focus on creating something that is good and valuable and meets search intent. And I don't want you to get lost in keywords too much. And the reason why I'm allowing myself to do that is because we did so much work in the keyword research, in mapping our keywords and clustering our keywords in the get-go, that then in the writing, we just purely focus on quality. And I bet that if you're writing a good quality content, that most of those checkpoints you're already hitting without doing anything. But to basically perfect the article for Google as well, once you're done, go over this checklist and make sure that you're good. I recommend you can add the main keyword to your SEO plugin. This is not a ranking factor, but this usually allows to unlock some sort of like traffic system or mentally make sure that you know, okay, this is the article for this keyword cluster. And then please run through some of the main ranking factors, such as short and precise URL, optimized page title and meta description, optimized headline 1. Make sure that you're taking those off and make sure that you're using your subheadlines properly and supporting keywords as well. And the goal is to make it natural yet effective, right? So here's 2 screenshots out of the employee goals article. We can see, okay, people obviously search goals and the acronym SMART, which is like a methodology for goal setting. And so you can see that here they're using SMART employee performance goals. Then they have 5 uncommon types of employee performance goals examples. Look, if you would have written this article, maybe you would have used that keywords a little bit, but you're not totally overdoing it. You just tweaked it a little bit, right? So the times of keyword stuffing are done. You don't need to put the keyword 20 times into the article anymore for Google to understand what's going on, but you should use it in the most important places that I outlined before. So to recap, to achieve an content-fueled, SEO-fueled, organic traffic success, such as Culture AMP, you want to follow 4 steps when creating a content corner. You want to research your topic ideas and make sure you consider the business value as well as the difficulty of the keyword. You then want to map your keywords cluster, making sure that all of your keyword cluster meeting the same search intent only have one home on the website. At this point, forget the SEO and make sure you write the best answer to the search query, which means that you already know if a guide is required for you, a landing page. At this point, you just want to make sure to do the best job possible at creating that piece of content. Then you come back and tweak it and optimize it and make sure that Google loves it too. A lot. Well, what have we actually learned from Culture AMP? We have learned that Culture AMP fuels their non-branded traffic through SEO-driven content marketing and that they rank extremely well for their blog post. But we also learned that this is only working because their website is so extremely well structured and actually the perfect blueprint for a SaaS business, because their website really caters to all of your needs, which goes from help desk, landing pages, feature pages, competitor alternatives, etc., etc. They all have their designated spot in Culture AMP, and you can literally use the slide from earlier to build your own website after it. And then you learned a 4-step process for driving non-branded traffic with SEO-focused content marketing. If you do have any question, this is my real email. I do keep an inbox 0, as Vuk has been saying before. So please feel free to reach out. Let's have a chat. I would love to know your questions on this and make sure that you get the most out of this. Otherwise, I strongly recommend to stay tuned for the next session, because our other speakers have so many more SaaS marketing secrets to share with you. So thank you for tuning in. Say hello in the chat or via email, and see you in the next session.